I'm Dr. Meenakshi Thakur from BNE Group of Colleges, and I'm serving here as assistant professor. Today I'm going to discuss with you a very known and profound sonnet of William Shakespeare. Today we are going to discuss the sonnet, which is also called as Sonnet 55, Not Marble Nor the Guided Monuments. Right? Before analyzing the sonnet as per the meanings, I would like you to introduce with certain technical structures of this sonnet. First of all, why it is called a sonnet? Because it is of 14 lines. So whenever we are going to study a sonnet, we have to mark the number of lines. First of all, a sonnet has 14 lines. The second feature is, in a sonnet there is a traditionally a kind of a pattern which Shakespeare follows, that they have a quatrain of 3 quatrains in a sonnet. So these are the 3 quatrain. Because they are comprising of 4 lines, that's why we call it as a quatrain, and the sonnet is ending with a couplet. So this is actually a couplet. So this sonnet has 3 quatrains and a couplet. Quatrain stands for 4 lines, that's why it's quatrain. Okay, now the third thing is that, talking about the rhyming scheme of the sonnet, as such, the first one is monuments. It doesn't rhyme with the other one, that is rhyme. So monument is rhyming with the other thing, that is contents. Monuments and contents. So this is having a same rhyming scheme. So we'll be putting a same symbol, that is AA. Rhyme is having rhythm with time. So this will be marked as BB. So for this first quatrain, we have a rhyming scheme of AB, AB. Similarly, for the second quatrain, the rhyming scheme will be turn, burn. So this is C, C. Then we have machinery and memory. So here it will be D, D. For the second quatrain, we have a rhyming scheme of CD, CD. The third quatrain is ending with room, doom. So this is again E, E. Enmity and posterity. So this will be F, F. So for the third quatrain, the rhyming scheme will be EF, EF. And for the couplet, there the rhyming scheme will be same, arise and eyes. So we can write it down as GG. So for the couplet, we have a rhyming scheme of GG. So the third feature of this sonnet is that the rhyming scheme will be AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF and GG. So this is all about the basic structure of this sonnet. Now in this sonnet particularly, William Shakespeare is addressing to his beloved. The beloved could be the dark lady, or it could be his friend, the Earl of Southampton. In the first line, not marble nor the guided monuments of princes shall outlive this powerful rhyme. When we go through these 2 lines or analyze it, we'll get to know, we'll understand that he is somehow putting a persuading remark for his beloved, and he's trying to tell him that neither the monuments which are made up of marble or which are made up of gilded. Gilded means something which is related to made up of gold or a very wealthy precious stone. So here this will be somehow of gold or of any wealthy or precious stone. So he's trying to say the princes or kings who have been in a tradition of getting their statues prepared with heavy marbles, expensive marbles or gilded precious stones, even these monuments, they are not going to stay forever. With the time, with the growing time, their monuments will be decayed. But you shall shine more bright in these contents. Now here he is trying to mention that besides the fact that the prince or the king, they have enough money and wealth to get their monuments prepared so that people can recall them later. But it's a fact that monuments will decay with age or time. But my poetry, these contents, here he is intended to tell that these means my lines or rhythms of poetry. He is trying to say that my poetry, my lines, my rhythm is going to make you shine forever. That means you will be still alive even though if you are not alive. After your death, you will be still bright, or you will be still shining in the form of my poetic descriptions. Then unswept stones besmirred with sluttish time. Now here what he is trying to say, these monuments, he is just referring them with unswept stones. Unswept means something which is pertaining to, which is not taken care of, right? So unswept means which is not cared or which is not taken care of properly. Not cared. So then unswept stones. Stones are, again he is referring to these monuments, because once the monuments are formed, nobody takes care of them, and then because of that thing they decay, and there is no purpose of keeping monuments if they are not cared. So he is saying that unswept monuments or stones besmirred with sluttish time. Besmirred means tarnished. Tarnished, destructed or dismantled, whatever word we can use for it, it will be suitable, because once the monuments are not taken care of, they are going to demolish, they are going to tarnish. With sluttish time, here the poet has been a bit different in his approach. Sluttish time, why he has used word slut? Basically this sluttish word, it stands for prostitute. As such, a prostitute is never meant for any specific person, so is the time. It's not meant for a single person. It's going to change, it's going to never be with a single person. So he has stated here that with that ever changing time, these unswept, uncared stones, they are going to be tarnished. When wasteful war shall statues overturn. Now what he is trying to mention here, the wasteful war. Why war is called wasteful? Because war always comes with destruction, loss and bloodshed. Even though the person who is winning the war is somehow failing in his own self with guilt or with destruction. So war is always called as wasteful because it is a wastage of human resources and material resources. So the wasteful war shall statue overturns. Because of this wasteful war, the statues, the creativity which was created by humans, it is overturned, it is demolished, it is spoiled. For example, if in a country there are different forts and different places of historical importance, and suddenly there is a war broken in that specific place. So due to the war, there will be a loss of property of that creativity which have been made by different people, the machineries actually, the machinery who put their all effort to prepare that monument or that historical place is demolished because of the war. So he is stating that because of the wasteful war, the statues, or that means the creativity, is overturned or is ruined. And broils root out the work of machineries. Broil stand for fight or again war. Because of the fights, it root out the work of the machineries. Machinery means the workers who are putting their hard labor to prepare something like statues, forts or historical buildings. So their effort, their work is being spoiled by the fights. Nor Mars his sword, nor war's quick fire shall burn. Now he is referring to Mars. Mars is considered as the god of war. Now he is stating that even though if Mars, the god of war, he came down to earth with his sword, he has the most powerful sword because he is the god of war. So if he comes down on earth with his sword, nor war's quick fire shall burn. That means neither the god of war nor the quick fire, that means the promptness of the war, both of them cannot burn the living record of your memory. So what could be the living record of your memory? The living record of your memory will be the poems, the literary work that the poet has done for a specific person. So he is saying nothing can spoil, even the war can spoil any kind of creativity which is physically present, but your memory will be there in people's mind with the help of my lines, my poetry. Gainst death and all oblion's enmity. Now this word gainst, It is actually against. So for making the rhythm, he has made is against death and all oblivious enmity. That means against death and all, oblivious is taken from obvious, enmity is somehow hatred. Besides the fact there is a lot of disturbance because of the death, there is lot of problem because of the obvious hatred, shall you pace forth, your praise shall still find room. It's a fact, although there is a criteria of death, although there is an obvious kind of a hatred when there is a war, but you will pace, that means your growth will proceed further, your praise shall still find room. That means even though if you are a subject of praise right now because of your beauty, because of your youth, but even though after a few years your youth is not there, your beauty is not there, but still there will be a room for your praise. Why? In the form of my poetry. If you get old, but still people will appreciate you for your beauty which you had when you were young, and they'll get to know about it with the help of my poetry, my lines. Even in the eyes of all, posterity. Now here posterity, it means the coming future generation, right? So no matter if you are getting praise from the present generation, the coming generation will also praise your beauty, they'll appreciate your effort, your beauty, your youth. Why? Because they'll be getting it informed with the help of my poetry, my lines. That wear this world out to the ending doom. That means even though the world is coming to an end, the world is going to be end, but still doom is referred to death actually. He is saying even though the world is coming to death, but still the judgment yourself arise, you live in this and dwell lover's eye. That means even though the world is coming to an end, your life is coming to an end, but still your judgment, at the day of your judgment, the day of your judgment, that means when it will be decided you will go to heaven or you will go to hell, at that time you will realize that you are going to still live in the eyes of, in lover's eye. Dwell means they are going to realize, they are going to feel. All those people who read romantic poetries, who are romantic, they are going to understand your beauty, they are going to understand your youth, your perfection, your personality, because they have already a taste of romantic poetries. So they'll understand all this thing, your whole personality, with the help of my poetry, my lines, my rhythm. So this is all about not marble nor the gilded monuments. This is a portion of sonnet taken from William Shakespeare's 154th sonnet. This sonnet is called as Sonnet 55. And in this sonnet, Shakespeare is addressing to the person whom he admires most, and he is trying to persuade that person that you should not feel dejected that you are going to die someday and nobody is going to remember you. You will be remembered with the help of my poetry, my lines, and you have to accept this fact. Even though people are very wealthy, people are very influential, but still if they are not getting their beauty or their youth or their appreciation in the form of any poetry or such praises, they won't be able to get remembrance, they won't be remembered by others, because literally they are not, their perfection is not being recorded. So you are perfect, you are very much opportunist, because you are being recorded by my verses. So that's all. I hope it has been clear to you. Thank you.